Are you easygoing or involved as a parent with your child? Let me explain what I mean. I look at it like a scale. We could be super easygoing, let our kids do whatever they want, let them run around like crazy in a restaurant, let them go anywhere they want when they're teenagers without any restrictions or limitations. We can kind of just, yeah, it's all good, right? One could say that by being that easygoing, we're very trusting of our children and want them to explore the world and all of that. And then one could also say being too easygoing could impact the child in a way that says, maybe I don't matter so much. So, depending on the child and their perceptions, that stance of easygoing could be perceived in two ways. So, we want to be conscious of when we're being easygoing with our children, what is the impact I'm having on that child? And this may differ with each child if you have more than one. So, just keep that in mind. These are all ways to become aware as a parent. Now, on the scale of easygoing, it kind of goes along to involved. So, am I really involved in my child's life? Am I sort of on top of things? Am I in there with them? Am I really kind of, do I know everything that's going on in my child's life? And that could again be from when they're little kids and everything they're doing at daycare or at school. Am I getting reports? Am I asking? Am I really taking that involvement in their lives? Am I showing up at every single field trip to volunteer? What is happening in terms of my involvement in my child's life? When they become teenagers, am I kind of constantly asking them what they're doing and making sure that I know and possibly even like organizing their life and telling them what they should consider doing, but to an extreme, right? So the idea here is that it's a scale. We have to look at the impact we're having when we're involved as well, because sometimes when we are over involved or involved, again, all of these are with best intentions, whether it's easygoing or whether it's involved, we can lead to constructs of helplessness in our child because you're just kind of doing everything. You've got it all covered, which is lovely, except that the child sort of, yeah, what do I do? That's okay. Mom or dad will take care of it, or whoever my caregiver is will take care of it. So we want to be conscious of that impact. And again, that'll change by child. But I'm going to just show you something in a different kind of way. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be drawing. So this may be a little rough, but if you want to look at involvement as sort of a scale, right? And the areas that I just talked about are here, which are easygoing, and over here, which is involved. Now, what I want to point out is that there are other extremes, right? The other extreme of easygoing is almost neglect, right? Or it is neglect, not almost, it is neglect. And the other extreme of involved is sort of the helicopter, whoops, let me fix that up, is the helicopter or hovering parent. So let's go here, hovering, helicopter. Sometimes people call it also a tiger mom, depending on the stance you're taking coming into the parenting. So what we're talking about here is the extremes of these situations, easygoing versus involved. And we want to be conscious of whether or not we are being the extremes of those things, because we all have a tendency to be something. And some situations can lead us to be the extremes of these. And so I want you to be conscious of that, because honestly, those are sort of the red zones. We want to be conscious of that because our children are impacted negatively when we are on those extremes as parents. Why? Well, if we're on the neglect side, obviously you're almost guaranteeing that the child feels like they don't matter, right? In the beginning, especially if they're teenagers, they may be like, woohoo, this is great, I can do whatever I want. But really, they're internalizing a construct. This has been well researched, a construct on the belief that they don't matter, right? They're not on their parents' radar. So we want to be conscious of when we slip into the red zone of neglect, wow, what's happening here? What am I doing? And bringing ourselves back to being at least easygoing, if not a little bit further along on the scale, which I'll talk about in a moment. But before we do that, let's look at the other extreme. So the hovering or helicopter parent and that or caregiver. And what that does is, again, it tells the child I don't really know what I'm doing and I need this constant supervision or guidance, which guidance is great, but it's the constancy of it that's the problem, right? So we want to be conscious of, am I hovering? Am I getting over involved, really, is what's happening here. And if that's the case, then I'm going into the state of that helplessness construct, right? They are helpless. That's what they're taking on. So we don't want our children to feel like they don't matter. We don't want our children to feel like they are helpless. So if we are falling into these categories of easygoing neglect and then involved or over-involved and hovering helicopter, we need to stop and pause and check as what's happening for us. Where am I getting stuck? Where am I getting lost? Is this because I'm scared of something, right? So on both extremes, a lot of times this is from fear parenting, right? This is from a place of, I don't know how to deal with this, so I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist. That would be the neglect side, right? I don't know how to navigate it. I don't have the tools. I don't have the awareness. I'm just going to pretend kind of like it's not happening, right? So we can go there. And the other side is the hovering helicopter coming from an anxiety, a fear, a need for a false sense of control by kind of being on top of things. And on that side, we can convince ourselves that we're being an amazing parent because I'm so engaged with my kid. It's just that, again, anything in extremes doesn't usually have a very positive impact. And as parents, that is the key. That is the key message we want to ask ourselves, that what we're giving our children. What's the impact I'm having? What messages are they receiving? Right? So I drew this as a scale because I wanted to mention that there's also the level of in the middle, right? Which is interested. And interested is a really nice kind of, to me, middle ground, right? It allows us to stay engaged, stay interested. It has a curiosity to it, right, which is really nice. So while the hovering is sort of fear, neglect is also fear for different reasons. This is an I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know. And this one is more like an anxious worry, right? Constant, I need to know. Like, I need to know. I need to know kind of worry. So again, ask yourself who you are, and then try to see if we can bring ourselves to more of the middle, right? It's okay if you're one or the other or somewhere along the scale here. It's really more, again, what's the impact I'm having genuinely? Is my child thriving? Do they seem to be wanting to do things independently? Are they feeling supported and seen? These are things to sort of ask yourself. I wonder if my child is feeling these things. If you're not sure, you could ask them, right? How are you feeling? Like when you guys are having sort of a chill day or chill evening or something one time, just say, hey, can we chat for a moment? I want to just check in around how I'm doing as a parent and ask these questions. How are you feeling about when I do X, Y, or Z? And then, this is really important, be open to the feedback. So we need to sort of calm our system down, drop our shoulders. If you see my post before, you'll know that comforting us is the most important thing in order to be able to parent in effective ways. So be ready for feedback because you're asking, or I'm asking you to ask, and hopefully you're agreeing. And they may, or hopefully will be totally honest, and it may not be what you want to hear. So have compassion for yourself. You're doing nothing wrong. What you're doing is acknowledging that, hey, I'm following an old pattern or an old language that I learned, and I need to start to shift that, right? I need to start to change that. We don't need to keep repeating generational history, which is so common. Life has provided us with resources now, so we're going to take those in order to make the shift and start moving along this scale so that we can really become interested in our children. So now again, what does interested mean? For us, it means we're being curious. We are having this open mind, right? That allows their authenticity to show up, right? Their authentic self, their child's authentic self can show up and we can help then to guide, right? So that's the goal there. So we can then guide our child, and what they're going to do is they're going to internalize from our guidance and from our curiosity and open mind. They're going to really stay in their authenticity and use it in creative ways so that they can feel like they matter, like what they want matters, and they can feel very capable, right? So what we're getting to here is the idea of what I think we all want for our children is for them to feel like they matter and that they're capable. And all of that ultimately helps them feel like they belong, right? In society and life, in our family, most importantly, and among others. So we want the goal here to be interested, right? That's, to me, what the goal, the ideal parenting construct would be, is to show an interest in our children. And if we are finding ourselves going towards neglect, or if our personality is more towards the hovering helicopter, do the soothing and calming exercises to kind of bring yourself back to the middle, to be interested and curious, even when they do things that surprise us, right? So if your child wants to take off and go do something that scares you a little bit, you can go into the neglect mode of fear and say, you know what, I don't want to hear about it, I don't want to know, and just leave them, to their own devices, which in itself could be not helpful for the child, depending on their age and what they're deciding to do. I would rather be interested and be able to guide them a little bit, but still giving them the freedom to choose, right? Or if they go off and do something and I'm scared and I need to know, then I can end up hovering. And again, it's my fear of what's going to happen to my child. And again, we can convince ourselves that we're being a great parent by being so involved. But what happens is, again, we're having this impact that the child believes they don't matter. The child believes that they are helpless and they can't do anything on their own. And then they start to get anxious themselves. So the idea here again is try to be conscious of where we land somewhere on this scale. And if it's working for you truly and your child is thriving in this, that's great. But I want you to really ask, because when I unpack these constructs with the parents that I work with, inevitably we'll see that the impact hasn't been all that helpful if we're at one of the sides of the scale. But as we start to bring it towards the interest, and we start repairing the relationship and engaging with the child again, then they start to see, wow, okay, this is what I was missing. I didn't realize that I was doing this. So again, self-compassion, soothing, bring our fears down so we can truly make the shift and help our children become truly resilient by knowing that they matter and feeling truly, truly capable. So I hope you found this helpful. And again, I really want to emphasize the self-compassion here. If you find yourself somewhere else on the scale that you don't like, then that's not a problem, right? We all do this. We all come by this naturally. It is really about learning the skills of being an interested parent. And you can look actually at my F.A.I.R video, F.A.I.R, where I talk about sort of how to come across as a fair parent so that our children receive us in healthy ways. And part of that is to be interested. So if you like, check that one out as well. And if you enjoy my videos, I really hope that you subscribe and share and hit a like for me. Thanks so much.